30 years ago, the Everyman Theatre and Liverpool City Council came up with a brilliant idea to give local people the chance to get involved in the arts and to stay here in Liverpool. And that's when Hope Street was born. And they gave me a job, as well as a team of fantastic practitioners.
What Hope Street means to me.
Hope Street means to me an organisation that came out of the wonderfully creative time I spent in the Everyman.
Hope Street project means the world to me. It gave me the world. It gave me the world of dreams, opportunities, and being able to fulfil my ambitions to become a theatre director.
Acting Up was for young people who were failed by the education system.
I don't know the direction that I would have gone in without Hope Street, and the people that I'm still in touch with from then, I think similarly believe that it changed the direction of many of our lives.
At a young age of 16, 17, I was quite a tearaway. I had no qualifications from school, and they basically, I'm getting emotional actually, oh dear, sorry, getting emotional because if it wasn't for Hope Street, I actually could have been on quite a different path.
I was a young working class lad from Anfield with no further education, no higher education qualifications, and I came to Hope Street with passion, and they took that passion, they gave me the skills, they gave me the connections, the networks to kickstart and craft a career in the arts sector, and I owe them so much for that opportunity. And that career has lasted over 22, 23 years now.
I managed to observe some fabulous tutors: Delia, Patsy, Matthew, Giles, Bernard, and Jimmy Crew, who was just great with any teenager you put in front of him. Also, the late Brian King, who directed a production for teenagers who'd never ever acted together.
They grounded me. They basically wrapped their arms around me and just nurtured me, brought the best out in me.
They tried to widen our experience by taking us on tour with theatre shows. We met writers, actors, directors, and this to a bunch of unemployed 15 to 18-year-olds was quite sensational.
For me, in my work now, having an arts organisation is to give that back. Because if I can change one person's life like they changed mine, then I'm doing my job.
I'm so proud that today I'm in a position where I can use my skills to support young people, community artists, community members, to dare to dream, to create their own work, to have life-enhancing and at times life-changing creative opportunities, and I wouldn't be able to do any of that without Hope Street.
Acting Out was a course that trained 18 to 25-year-olds how to work with a variety of community groups.
It was where I really found who I was and what I wanted to do, which was I wanted to make a difference to people, and which I know sounds a bit can sound a bit wanky, but it was because that was what I saw at Hope Street, and I saw that every day because you could see the difference that arts can make to somebody, and you can see the difference that working as a team and communication and all those things that we say that we want community arts to do. That is what Hope Street did.
The Actors Centre was for emerging and professional theatre makers and provided workshops and schemes to develop new theatre companies.
We had these fabulous workshops with the key people in the sort of late 80s, early 90s, well, early 90s really. Key theatre companies and practitioners, you could come and work with them for free.
Hope Street has been significant for me for the last 25 years. When I was in another career and I wanted to write, and I got to do professional workshops at Hope Street, and they were fantastic. They really did give me some hope.
Hope Street's like the best place ever. I'm so glad that I went to Hope Street. It like formed so much of who I was, and to have all that belief in me like propelled me into my life.
Hope Street to me means wonderful quirky shows at unexpected places.
When I first met Peter at Hope Street, I looked like that. He dragged me out of Ye Crack Beer Garden to go to a clowning workshop. And then I went to millions of workshops at Hope Street. And then I took all that knowledge and took it to Portugal. And then I amalgamated that knowledge and then came back and then worked for Hope Street again. And then I passed all that knowledge on to people like Graham Hicks, for example. It's your go.
Who's go?
Yours. You're Graham Hicks.
This camera.
No, over here. Over here.
All right, okay. and now I can pass on the knowledge to.
Yeah, okay, it's more dramatic.
The knowledge to.
Just want to say how much we've adored working with and for Hope Street.
We started doing the living room, and then we did full spectrum at the Tate, and then we did Feast, and then we did Upside Down, Wrong Way Round, and finally Sense and Sustainability. We're proud of all these things. Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Hope Street. We adore you.
I left Liverpool in 1982 when it was on fire and there was nothing here for me, and vowed never to return. All that changed in around 1988, 89, when I lost my father. My family was in distress, and I came back, and my mum had seen an advert for a course called Acting Out at Hope Street at the Everyman. I went down and I met a handsome young man called Peter Ward, who was wearing a cowboy scarf in the new romantic mode, and so I immediately warmed to him. And he said I'd done far too much, but he had a scheme for a trainee director.
A big one was Rejects. I met David here, who was one of our 3 original Rejects. Meet him and David.
I worked with Peter on the Christmas show at the Unity. Then I directed my own show with Loudmouth, with Russ Lane in the Mime Theatre Company. And then I got a gig on the strength of that in London in the West End, and I found myself as a director at English National Opera. They asked me to stay on, and much to my surprise I said no, because I missed the atmosphere and all my colleagues and the ethos of Hope Street.
Everybody who's been through the doors all takes on this idea of what community and what it is to be an artist really, really means.
I think without Hope Street, then we wouldn't have it. People wouldn't have formed this company. But I think as well as that, we wouldn't have the work ethic that we do.
The process and the way that you make drama is as important, if not more so, than the show itself. That was what Hope Street gave to me.
Hope Street introduced me to improvising, devising theatre, and those practices I still use, and they still inform my work now. And Hope Street was a great resource, a brilliant place, great community, and I still know a lot of people from that time.
Personally, it also helped support us as artists working in the industry, as well as the training that they gave us. So that Hope Street actually gave me my first ever professional job before I even did the programme.
We got free office space and photocopying, and we used to joke that we were just photocopying for years afterwards, saying to Peter, yeah, we're still on that Company Development Award, yeah, we still qualify for that Company Development Award, sure, and just that, we could just turn up for years and you would always be welcome.
Even though I was no longer attached to the Hope Street project, I got formidable support from Peter Ward.
I was a participant, I ran the course, and then was a lead artist as well. So for me, Hope Street means quality, it means ambition, and it also means stress lines and massive eye bags. I've really had such a brilliant time working with people on a whole host of projects. So quality work, I think, ambition, because the work is really, really brave and bold, and some of the pieces that we've been involved in, I've been involved in Picasso at the Tate Gallery, calling the airlines to clear the flight paths, epic performances at the beaches. It doesn't always work, but that opportunity to experiment and to feel is something that Hope Street really allows, supports and nurtures in not just the participants but also the communities and the artists as well.
Throughout the years, we've responded to need and we've been proactive in developing programmes such as Euphoria, our international collaborations and the physical theatre programme.
I don't think either of us would be doing the job that we're doing today, working as freelance artists, working as a theatre company, producing the work that we do if it wasn't for the completely bonkers, anarchic physical theatre training we had at Hope Street.
I took part in the physical theatre programme back in 2002-2003, which was an amazing experience of making shows and workshops and training, and it was the beginning of everything I've done since. The support afterwards, I set up a company which is still going today, which has won awards internationally, and a festival which is going from strength to strength. So thank you very much.
Hope Street's just affected so many of the arts institutions here in the city and way, way beyond.
1995 was an amazing year for me. It was a time when Hope Street came to Alaçatı in Turkey. That is a time which really gave me hope to my life. That is a project that gave me energy, peace and happiness. It was an international project of Tobov, Hope Street and Met. It was definitely the best time of my life.
I think it's a bit of a cliche, but I think my whole career from 2000, I owe to Hope Street.
I can still remember my first day at Hope Street, and we walked into the new building and everyone was a bit nervous. We sat round, and sitting there amongst the 20 other people, I had no idea how much my life was going to change after that moment.
It's just such a fabulous place.
It's like this magical place.
On the way here, I just saw this big tree and I thought it's just like that big solid tree, and the roots were growing and spreading, and now they're so far now. And when Peter and the gang and everyone started, 30 years ago, it was probably a little sapling, and now it's just this big, broad, solid thing that you could just, go to for shade, for comfort. But in artist terms, that would be for advice, for support, to be part of fabulous projects, to come with an idea and to have people who would listen to you and believe in you.
We've been working with Hope Street for a long time, and we have done not a lot of collaboration work. Peter has been a very, very good friend and supporter to us.
We're also very grateful to Peter Ward for setting up Cool and running it so well in the early years, and for fostering collaboration between arts groups in Liverpool.
I feel I've benefited from Hope Street on a number of levels. Professionally, I've been so inspired about the work that takes place there, the great creative products that they produce, the wonderful talents that they put on display.
Part of the feast and the whole philosophy of the feast was for it to be a festival of the street, to represent every part of the street. So that's the cultural part, the artistic side, obviously taking into account the cathedrals and the religious elements. But for the whole of the feast to represent what was going on the street. And Hope Street Limited were a huge part of that, because they created all the animation on the street, and it was absolutely fantastic.
My association with Hope Street came because I dragged a reluctant 13-year-old boy to the Market of Optimism. I'd seen some adverts and I thought this will be a fun day out. My son obviously was of the age where he didn't particularly want to go out with mum, but we turned up at the Market of Optimism. We went straight to the cash point, the human cash point that gave us some euros, and suddenly my son went from sort of sulky, grumpy teenager to a young man who was having the time of his life.
So happy anniversary, 30 years, and we're closing. Wow. What that means, it means a lot of things to many people, but it means definitely, and I'm sure I'm not the only one saying that, a great loss.
It's very bad news that Hope Street is going to close after 30 years of pioneering work, and it looks like another poor decision by the Arts Council. I've known and admired the work of Hope Street since way back in the days when they and Bruja used to work together, And it's always been a pleasure to me that the Granada Foundation too very much admired their work and has been able to help from time to time over the years. So well done, Peter. Well done the whole team. You were the good guys. And thank you.
I think we'll be talking about Hope Street for many years to come, and I think when we do so, we'll do with great pleasure when we think of Peter and the team and just the great work that they've delivered.
I would like to thank everybody who's been involved in the Hope Street project over the past 30 years, but more importantly, I'd like to thank Peter Ward, who symbolises everything good about the performing arts, his optimism, his enthusiasm, his sense of humour, and his encouragement. Thank you, Hope Street, and thank you, Peter.
Thank you to you all, and thank you, Peter, for being such a good friend. Bye, Hope Street.
It's been 30 years and it's been brilliant, and I'm so glad I was part of it. Love you, Peter!
I am really gutted that it's ended, but it hasn't ended because it's in every single person that worked with you.
It was a real privilege to play such a small part in the journey of Hope Street. I'm so sorry to see it go, but it still lives on in the hearts, the minds of our huge alumni, and will continue to make an impact way beyond these 30 years.
The 30 years are now up. The beginning of the end came when we were dropped by the Arts Council as a national portfolio organisation. We reviewed our options, we looked at the competition for funding, and we saw that other organisations were delivering programmes for emerging artists. So we looked at our legacy and saw what a fabulous impact we'd had, and we decided, job done, and to go out with a